Blasted out the back side of her dresser drawer, you can see right there. So I'm just going to go through the steps on how to fix this. So you don't need to go out and buy a new dresser. Save yourself $500. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I can see that this is broken right here, and then I can also see I've already unscrewed this, but I'm just going to get this cross member out of the way. Then I'm going to stand this up, and then looking here I can see there's only one screw at the top and there isn't one at the bottom, and then on the other side there's one at the bottom but there isn't one at the top, so that probably had a lot to do with it. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have this bottom tucked into all those slots right there. You could take some wood glue and glue it into place so it's not sliding, but I don't think that's really going to be necessary for this. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten this screw here, and then I'm going to run another screw in here as well. Okay, so when I tip it up, I can see, well, there must have been another screw in here in the past. There isn't one right now, but this has been blasted out right here. So what I'm actually just going to do, and it's going to take a little bit of space in the back of the drawer, but I'm just going to screw a small piece of wood to the front of this and then tighten that down. So it will be in the back of the drawer, so it won't be seen. Now we're going to remove the screws just to get this back board out. You can use a hand screwdriver, and then we'll do the same thing to the other side. So now we really don't need this big of a board. The split goes out to about here, so I could probably cut this in half. So I ended up deciding to heck with it. I'm just going to put that piece in. It's just a little bit more. So what I've done is I've screwed it down from the front, but this wood isn't very strong, so I actually want to drill from the back of this board into our small piece of wood. And now I've drilled in one screw already on the back, and then I got this here. So I am going to use a drill bit. The nice thing about this is it's all in the back, so you can just go into your random screws and get that set up using just a bunch of junk. So now you can see that it's flush across the bottom for that base of the dresser. And then we also have it flush over here. I probably grabbed the wrong side of this board, but I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'm just going to use it as it is. And then I'm going to shove some small pieces of wood inside here. So I'm going to find some splinters from this wood that I have here and just jab them in there. And then that way when I screw in, it'll have something to bind with. So now I've got some small splinters here. I'm just going to jab those right inside of there. Bend them over and break them off. That is what it looks like now. And I'm just going to do it to the one on top of it as well. Those are filled in. It's fairly flush. That should tighten up without any issue. Just going to drop this in, and we're going to make sure that that bottom fits nicely inside of there. And we're just going to pull these tight. And then we're going to put the screw back in there. So we'll start with the top screw that was set. So now that I've got that board, I got it set in place. I put a screw in on both sides, so there's still missing one. So I'm going to put 2 screws in on both sides now, and that should finish it up. So now this is the one that broke. So this is where that board split. And so I'm going to actually use a longer screw just so I can get deeper down into the wood. But I'm going to do this by hand just because it'll go slower and I'm less likely to split anything. Cinching in, drew those tight together, and then just go through and make sure these are all snug around the edges. Put that board in there. As you can see, it takes up very minimal space. It could have been smaller, but once we put clothes in here, you're never going to see that really ever again. It's really secure back here. I've gotten 2 screws in. I can lift it up. Looks like we can. If you have a little mark like this, if you have a brown marker, just a brown permanent marker, cover that up and then that will go away as well. I could not find a brown marker, but I don't want to mess around with it for too long. So I'm just going to take a black marker, dab across it, run my finger across it, and as you can see, instead of it being all white, now we've got that kind of blended back in. Just keep dabbing it, and don't let it just sit there because otherwise you'll be able to tell that it was done by a black marker. But there we go. So now that's not just shining out. So next I'm going to put this bottom piece on, and then I'm going to be finished up. This had hot glue on the bottom. I peeled that off. I don't think hot glue is really the proper glue to be putting this back together. I'd rather run another screw through there than have it secured by hot glue. So I'm going to end up screwing this in, and then we'll be done. And then with the hot glue, it was harder to get that to push back together. But I did get that pushed in. It had pulled off some of the wood on the other side. So I just ran another screw from the back in so that it's fully supported. And I think this drawer is actually stronger now than it ever was before. Last, you can see this is the spot where I put that black permanent marker. You can hardly tell. And I'm just going to slide that drawer in, and we are done. And hopefully that saves you from having to buy a new dresser. And as always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.